Welcome back, everyone, to Through the Eyes of Survivors. Well, some survivors need more than a safe bed for the night. They need a doorway wide enough for a wheelchair, a shower chair that doesn't exist on a waiting list, or a hotline with ASL access, a shelter that will accept service animals without any kind of debate. When the world says just leave, why don't they? Well, a ramp may be what's needed, or the elevator may be out, the staff who is never really trained properly. So, here's the truth: survivors with disabilities experience far higher rates of abuse and sexual violence than those without disabilities. And yet they face the biggest barriers to safety once they ask for help. That's not just a coincidence. That's a system designed with a real problem. And tonight we're going to name those barriers and talk about solutions. We're going to discuss what accessible, trauma-informed safety really looks like. Not just the brochure style, but for someone arriving at midnight with a power chair and fear that they're going to be turned away. And we'll do it with a woman whose story embodies both the devastation and the hope, LaDonna Shelley. If you're a survivor listening with a disability, you are not a special case. You are the case. Protecting your life shouldn't depend on whether a building was built with you in mind. This is Survivor to Survivor. Oh, I'm sorry, Through the Eyes of Survivors. I'm sorry.
Important notice: the following content may be triggering. Viewer discretion is advised. All discussions are based on personal opinions and experiences. If you or someone you know needs help, please reach out to a local support organization. Important note.
Oh, thank y'all for joining us on Through the Eyes of Survivors. It's not Friday. It's not time for Survivor to Survivor yet. I lost my mind there for just a second. But before we get started talking with LaDonna, of course, I want to plug our great affiliates. I want to take a quick moment to talk about something that can really empower you in your journey towards safety and healing. It's called Truth Finder, a simple tool that helps you uncover public records and background information about people who you may encounter in your life. Whether you're reconnecting with someone from your past or just want to ensure the people around you are trustworthy, Truth Finder provides you with the information you need to make informed decisions. And here at Through the Eyes of Survivors, we're all about creating safe spaces and giving survivors the tools they need to reclaim their power. So that's why we're excited about Truth Finder and sharing it with you. It's a tool that helps you take control of your own security and peace of mind. To try it out and support our podcast, visit the link that's in the description or in the comments. We thank you for supporting our mission and staying empowered. Also, Opus Clips. We are proud to partner with Opus Clip. It is an AI driven platform that helps us turn powerful podcast moments like you will see today into short, impactful clips. From survivor stories to hard truths, Opus Clips help us amplify our voices here at Break the Silence and spread awareness across all our different platforms. You can, try Opus Clip using our special link that you'll find again. And our last affiliate is Self Defense Keychain Store. We're proud to partner with them as an official affiliate. This is a woman and minority owned business committed to empowering individuals with practical, discreet, and stylish self defense tools. And by shopping through our affiliate link, you're not only investing in your personal safety, you're also supporting our mission to amplify survivors' voices and raise awareness about domestic violence. So use Break the Silence as a code for your 10% off. And we thank you for supporting us. So, now that we got that out of the way, today we're honored to welcome LaDonna Shelley. She's a woman whose life embodies the true triumph over tragedy. In 1983, LaDonna's world changed forever when her boyfriend pointed a weapon at her and pulled the trigger. The bullet penetrated her neck and damaged her spinal cord, leaving her an incomplete quadriplegic, sorry, it's getting tongue-tied, at levels C4 to C6. In a single moment, her life took a devastating turn, one that required a lot of strength and faith and resilience, the kind that most people can barely imagine. But LaDonna is not defined by that violence she endured. She is defined by the remarkable journey she has walked ever since. It's one of healing and courage and purpose. She uses her voice to uplift, support others. And recently, she has released her memoir, Triumph Over Tragedy, sharing the deeper story behind her path. So please help me in welcoming this extraordinary lady. LaDonna, we're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Wonderful. So, LaDonna, can you take us back to 1983? Just a glimpse of that moment that changed everything for you. What do you remember most about that day and what happened in the moments that followed?
I've had people ask me, do you remember anything that happened that day? And yes, vividly, I still remember every moment of that day. It started out like a normal day. I was on vacation, and my boyfriend and we hung out in our apartment and decided, trying to figure out what we're going to do for the day. He had a couple of friends over. They came at separate times, and he wanted to show off this gun that he borrowed from the neighbors, and which I was not pleased about at the time, and still wasn't pleased. But he, being a young boy, 17 years old, wanted to show it off. And those two times, I never saw the gun get loaded. I don't know, because I had requested the gun to stay unloaded. And so at the end of the afternoon, he decided he wanted to go out and shoot again. I was not thrilled about it, but I got up to get ready, and he said, I'm going to go get the gun. And he went to go just probably 3 steps, grabbed the gun, turned around, and pointed it at me and pulled the trigger.
Mm.
When they say life, uh, goes, it goes before your eyes, your whole life, it's true. Because I remember when I went down, it was like a slow motion, and as I went down to the ground, and I immediately came awake, and I said, "How did the gun get loaded?" He goes, "I don't know." And I got very lucky that day. He could have left me there to die, and
Yeah.
he didn't. He said, "I need to get you to the hospital." Back then we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have those things. It was just landlines. And so he tried to pick me up. He couldn't do it. I was dead weight. I didn't know what happened. And he called for 911. They came. And I see paramedics got me ready to get into the ambulance. I remember the paramedic telling me, "Whatever you do, stay awake with me,"
Right.
because I was starting to go pass out. And he goes, and so often I remember hearing him, wake up, LaDonna, stay with me." I never understood that until years later. He was
Right.
trying to keep me alive until the doctors could get to me. And when I got there to the emergency room, it was spotty. And I could hear in the background the nurses trying to get hold of my parents and the doctor coming in and going, "Have you heard from the parents?" And they finally said yes. And they said they were on their way. They were probably a half an hour away. And by this time, I'd probably been in the emergency room a couple hours, if that long. I Time was different, by this time. And the exact words that the doctor told me or told the nurses, "I can't wait for them because if I do, she's going to die on me." And they
Right.
and they immediately started wheeling me down to the operating room, and that was the last thing I remember until I woke up hours later seeing my parents at my bedside, and then later other people were at my bedside. It was I never dreamed that I would ever be shot.
Right. Nobody thinks that
Yeah,
that's gonna happen to you, especially when you're young, you
yeah,
know?
being 18 years old, just starting alive, and no,
No.
that
So in those first few days after the shooting, you faced not only trauma, right,
yeah.
but became a whole new physical reality. So what happened after, the surgery and you discovered what really your body had been through?
Well, it had been a few days, and because the first week were they had me so sedated, I was mainly asleep most of the time. I did have experiences. I didn't understand it till years later, but apparently I had died twice that week,
Oh my.
and they brought me back. And I didn't understand these visions that I saw or experiences mainly that I felt on 2 different occasions, and it didn't make sense. One of them was, the ceiling tiles, the drop ceilings, they have these little holes in the ceiling tiles. Well, I'm blind as a bat, and I'm laying on this bed. How can I see those things so clearly? And that's when I realized that I was dead that night, and then I could hear noises in the background behind me, but I thought it was outside my room. But apparently it was where they were trying to revive me. And so after the first week, they finally realized, they told my parents, if she survives the night, then we've got something, we can do something. But
Mhm.
if we don't know, she should have died that moment when he shot her, but
Right.
I didn't. Um, So they said if she survives the night, we'll see what we can do each. And each night I just kept surviving. I kept improving because they told my parents, well, she's going to be in severe ICU for 6 months and then a medium ICU for another 6 months. And then it's going to be rehab for 6 months to a year. I did the ICU 3 weeks. And by the second week, I was in the medium side ICU, which is not quite as severe. And my mom, she sat down with me one day, and I said, "What's wrong with me? Why can't I not move?" And she told me what happened, and she said, "You're an incomplete quad, confined to a wheelchair the rest of your life." And I was like, "No." I was terrified for my future.
Oh,
What
yeah.
am I going to live being in a wheelchair when I was this carefree teenager?
Mhm.
And how am I going to do this? And having to relearn everything. I was like a baby again, having to relearn how to feed myself, how to dress myself, brush my teeth. And it's a very humbling experience. But um,
Yeah,
it's
I can't even imagine that y absolutely, absolutely something else, and, so what happened to him?
actually the night he shot me, the officer came in, asked me questions, and I thought at the time it was an accident because I didn't know. I really didn't know all what was going on. I thought it was an accident. And so he questioned my boyfriend, and he said, "Will you accompany me to the hospital so I can question you some more?" And he said, "Sure." So he went to the hospital with him, and to this day, I don't understand, but he was not arrested. And when detectives came in to my parents the following morning after that the young man shot me, they said, "We want to question her." And my parents said, "No, the doctor said she's not stable enough to tolerate something like that. So we're not going to let you question her." And they said, "Well, when she's ready to talk, then let us know." Well, it was 3 months later when I was ready, because I
Yeah,
was finally was able to sort out all my thoughts and the events that happened that day. And my father went down to talk to detectives, and they said, "Oh, we closed the case." They never notified my parents. They never said why they closed the case. The only thing I can understand is they took the officer's notes and said, because I said it was an accident, they said, "Oh, okay, he's in the clear." So he was never arrested, charged, convicted, none of that. I don't
no.
I don't know where he is to this day.
Mm, that is horrifying.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That brings another set of trauma, doesn't it, as you're trying to recover?
It
Because
it did for my parents because they were afraid he was gonna come in and finish the job.
right.
And, I in my mind, because I was so sedated, I didn't think he would do it, but I didn't know. I didn't know myself because I was not my mind wasn't clear enough to understand that.
Right, absolutely. And so you talked about your experience of, that you realized that you had died,
Yeah,
and so I imagine, faith became a key point for you during that time that you were trying to, you know, relearn everything.
yeah.
Can you tell us about what kinda role that played for you?
The faith part,
Yeah,
it, I was I was a Christian most of my growing up years, and then I had, stepped out of the Christian faith because being a teenager, we all do that. sometimes. And, but when that happened, yeah, I had to rely and trust that God could get me through each day and accomplish something, because the doctors had told my parents that at the beginning, they told them that I would not be able to get out of that bed for the rest of my life. And I'm
Right.
like, No, I'm not that kind of person. You're not going to hold me down. And something told me and spoke to my heart, you're going to get through this. You're going to do this. And after a year of rehab, I was able to go home. I still had a lot to learn, but I was able to do a lot of things. I was still able to brush my teeth and feed myself and, do some, I had to be transferred to do, to these things from my bed to chair, or a chair to shower chair, to be able to do the task that I needed to do. But I was still able to do just some things for myself, be some independence. And that helped me a lot, because I just could not imagine myself being confined to a bed the rest of my life.
Right.
I didn't see a life in that.
Oh, well, who would? And I can't even imagine. And I'm grateful that you were able to. I mean, I'm that type of person too, that I could not have stood there and took took that. I would have done everything I could to get out of that bed, but you have done it.
Yeah.
So that's a powerful testimony all on its own. Um, so like LaDonna, since he he was able to, get away from this all and not be charged or have any consequences, um, you know, forgiveness tends to be something that many survivors wrestle with their abusers and everything. What did forgiveness kind of look like for you? How did you find peace?
My mother told me, we talked about many things about this, and she said, if he doesn't get his judgment here on earth, he will when he has to face God. And he would have to answer to God for what he did.
Mhm.
And that's what gave me a peace. It it gave me peace knowing that one day he will be judged for what he did, even though he didn't get judged here. He will be judged. And I had to let it go
Right.
one way or another, because if I didn't, it was going to eat me alive. And
Absolutely.
I had to let it go. And once I did that, it released that burden off of my heart. And so I could live the life that I needed to live and find the purpose that I needed to have. There's a reason why I've been left to stay on this earth. I just passed 61. There's a reason why I'm still on this earth after over 40 years of being in a chair. And it took, raising a family and all these things that I wanted to accomplish, and I did. But there was more God had in plan for me. Because I have more of a plan for you. You're not done. You're not done here. And I don't regret it. I've had a happy life. It, it's something. Now, it's not fun some days, but you have to get through that and have a positive thought. Even if it's a little positive thought each day to get you through that day. And the more positive thoughts you can get through in your mind, it gets easier. And yeah, we have our challenges, but we still manage. And that's what needs to be done.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. You've built quite a life filled with impact, like writing and speaking and advocating for others. What was the turning point when you decided your story wasn't just about survival, like that you wanted to bring hope to people?
I didn't know that I had a story. I had a friend that came up to me several years ago, probably close to 20 years ago, and she said, I want you to write a story about yourself, but I'll help you with it. I
Mhm.
looked at her kind of funny. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I've been living this life for so long. It's like, it's me. That's a part of me. I don't know what you mean. And she said, you have got a story to tell. There are so many women out there that could listen, hear this, and know that you can, just like the title of my book, you can triumph over any tragedy. You
Yeah.
can you can overcome any obstacle. And you have overcome so much that there's so many women out there that need to hear this. They
Yeah.
need to know your story. They need to know what you have dealt with. I know that you read the memoir and of my early childhood of what happened to me growing up. She said you dealt with that and got away from it. Then you got hit with this disability part and you've overcome that and made a life out of it. You've got a story to tell. Let's do this. And then it took me a while. I wasn't ready. I
Mhm.
said, I'm not ready. I still have a lot of healing to do, some past things that have happened and I needed to heal from those first. And she said, once you do that and you're able to get on paper, you're going to feel this relief. It's
Mhm.
like a release from your soul. And I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah. And she was right. She opened a part of my heart that I never thought would open. And it's a heart that wants to help. I've always wanted to help, but now it's a heart of service. It's
Mhm.
something that it is instilled in me, and God put that on my heart. When I wrote the memoir, He said, now this is what I want you to do. This
Right.
is one reason why I've kept you here this long. And so that was the turning point.
It's always very powerful when God speaks to you in that moment because I've had that myself, and you are I know personally for me it was very astonishing because I thought, "No, not me," you
Yeah,
know, and he was like, "Yeah, you. Yeah, you," and
exactly.
I think there's so many survivors out there that have that encounter, and if you haven't, I mean, that's really the quality that brings back into your life is having a purpose from tragedies like these.
Right.
So, I think it's very important. We're gonna go to I saw a comment. We're gonna go to the comment real quick before we take the mid-break. Let's see, Stephanie was talking about there are no full truths or safety. It's disgusting in Canada, so she must be from Canada. Trafficking, corruption, intentionally not helping women that once believed this corrupt system helped. They don't protect and court order known abusers access and years of harm and infecting children and covering it up, intentionally unsupport, unhelp women affected, women separated from their children, and don't give more numbers as all the same. No help, no safety, no justice, and
Mhm.
more numbers with same responses. Canada is disgusting. That's all across the world. I mean, don't feel alone in that. It's not Stephanie just there in Canada. That kind of stuff happens here in the United States as well and other countries. It is disgusting.
Yeah.
Absolutely is. And so our moderators, I see, have responded to her, but I wanted to take the time to tell you, Stephanie, we support you. Is there something, LaDonna, you'd like to say to Stephanie?
Stephanie, hang in there. You're fine. You'll find your way out. You'll find your peace. You'll find the opening, and you'll be able to step through and get out and get away from this. I know it's not quick enough, but hang in there. It will happen.
Yes, I think that's beautiful. So, listeners, stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to play you a short video clip from our Holidays of Hope. This holiday season, we're inviting you to be a part of something beautiful. It's our Holidays of Hope program. It's our annual BTS ADV program that brings joy and comfort to children who have lost a parent to domestic violence. And from warm blankets to Christmas gifts, it helps remind these families that love and community still exist. So we'll watch a short clip and we'll be right back. All right. So, if you're interested, applications are open. If anybody has, a child that they need help providing Christmas who have lost parents to domestic violence, definitely send them the links. So will be in the description in the comments for the application. Also, we're looking for donors. So if you would like to donate to this great cause, help provide some holiday hope for these children, visit btsadv.org/holidays of hope to give. You can sponsor a child, sign up to help, because for children who are grieving the loss of a parent, a single act of kindness like this can bring back light and hope for them. So thank you for supporting us in that. So LaDonna, let's get back to talking a little bit more about all the great things you've done with Since Your Story, where we're talking about your book. And so when you started seeking help and rebuilding your life, what was some of the biggest barriers you faced as a survivor with disabilities?
The barriers of being disabled.
Yes.
Oh, failures. I don't call it a failure, but I wanted to walk. And when it came where I could do it, but it wasn't where I could just naturally get up and walk anywhere I wanted to walk. I still needed assistance, and I'm still working on that. I've had I've had some health issues that kept me from doing that, and I had to take a step back. And with medical technology has improved over the years, and especially for the spinal cord injuries. So there's some hope still. There's some hope, and I don't call it a failure. I call it that it's an obstacle that I'm going to have to get over,
Mm-hmm.
and I intend to get over it. I don't, it doesn't matter how old I am, I'm still going to do it. And other failures, I never looked life as a failure or things that I did as a failure. I looked at them as a lesson learned. How do I make it better next time?
Mm-hmm.
And because I accomplished 2 degrees, which I never thought I would do, but I did. I accomplished my associates years ago, and I recently got my bachelor's. I went back to school recently, back in 2023, just graduated this year. And I did half of my 2-year program on bed rest and doing it from a tablet. And I thought, if I can do this, these women can do it too. If
Yeah.
you can better yourself. And I know these are lessons that God is teaching me, because He wants me to be able to say, you experienced it. So now, when you are faced with other women that are experiencing similar situations, you can tell them that it can be done.
Right.
You can do this.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, because I mean, so many survivors who have, well, people in general who have disabilities face many stereotypes. So, lots of people tend to think that they're helpless or not believable. I mean, we have to push back against some of those assumptions, right? Helping
yeah,
others find their voice and their way, and hear your proof of those accomplishments.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had people go, well, they'll talk to, I'll have somebody, with me if we're going shopping or the doctor's office or whatever. And they'll turn and look at the person that's with me, and it's like, no, she's capable to talk for herself. And, the private conversations I have with my loved ones is, my legs don't work. My head, but my brain still works. It's just my legs don't work. And so I know as a whole, society doesn't understand that. And
Right.
that's something we have to teach them. Yeah, just because we're in this position doesn't mean that we did it deliberately. I mean, I didn't ask to be shot, and I'm in a chair. Someone may have been in an auto accident that wasn't even their fault and
Mhm.
caused them to be disabled. It's not their fault, the reason why they're in a chair. So I think a lot of people think that, oh, you're in a chair for a reason. Whereas the reason is I can't walk. And these are my legs. My wheelchair are my legs. Or if someone's on a walker, that that's their leg, that's their support system to help them get around. And yeah, it's something that still need a lot of work. Is a lot better than what it was in 1983. 1983, we were looked at. We should be behind closed doors. We
Yeah.
shouldn't be out in the public. And I wasn't about to let that define me. I was like, no, I'm going out. Yeah, I don't like people staring at me. I've gotten used to it now after 40 years. But, when you're 18, 19 years old, you don't like that. You don't
Right.
like the attention on you, and you're in a wheelchair and you're like, I don't like that. But it makes you a stronger person. You're able to buff that off and go, nope, I'm going to keep going,
Mhm.
keep being who I need to be.
No, absolutely, and I think that's the very important thing is you don't stop being a person with all the hopes and dreams and mental capabilities along the way, of everything that you want to accomplish. It's just a changing
Yes,
of that perception and how long it takes and what can be accomplished. And yeah, it's one of the things I had to kind of learn through grief as well, because losing a daughter to domestic violence, I've seen so many families tragically, it incapacitates them where
yes,
they're not able to function. So I can't even imagine the levels of like physically being inhibited as well on top of it. So I just applaud you for what you've been able to accomplish with all these years. We're a similar age, so yeah. But yeah, it's amazing. So, just on the advocacy end, what would you like people to know about, you know, victims who are seeking shelter and what their needs would be, and how people could be helpful?
Um, I want people to know. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, like, let me think back how I structured that. Like, what you want people to know about helping survivors who do have, disabilities. Like, if they're trying to leave, they're trying to go into a shelter, they need your help. What are some key things that people would need to be aware of if they are trying to help a victim of domestic violence get out safely?
They need to be able to know that there's accessibility in the shelters, and that there is resources that can provide the information they need to get to an accessible uh, safe house. And it's not there. I've not been able to find ADA compliant safe houses. I've When I was writing the memoir, that was one of the things that hit me. It's like, what if something like this happens again? Is there a way I can get to a safe house? And so I started doing the research, and I was shocked that there's nothing out there that I could find. If somebody finds it, please let me know so we can, you know, put it on the, you know, out there so we could show that there's facilities available. But I learned that after searching this for several years, I wasn't able to find it, and to find what the women needed for the because they have disabilities that require a, a I'm getting tongue tied. I'm sorry.
No,
They
it's
need, yeah, they need a place where they can feel that they can get the help they need. Where is the bathroom accessible? Is the doorways, like you said in the intro, the doorways wide enough? Is there a ramp? They need to know that. Even with the blind and the deaf, is there going to be a sign language interpreter there so they can communicate? These things that need to be available to these women. Um, and that's one of the reasons why I want to open ADA compliant safe houses so that there is a place they can go to and that it's there. It's going to be accessible. The communication, there's not going to be a barrier for the ones that are blind and deaf. There's going to be people there to help them, and the transition will be much easier. Um, Hotlines, knowing that the hotline people would have the uh, the resources in hand to guide these women where they need to go. And those are the things that there's so many things, but that that's just touching it right there. Is knowing and then being able to get there. They need
Mhm.
accessible transportation because a lot of them can't just get in a vehicle and just drive away. They just
Yeah.
can't do that. So, there's, yeah, and then the staff, they need to be able to understand the diversity of the different types of various disabilities of these survivors because each one have a different type of disability, and they need to be, to understand how they can help them um, to make the transition a lot easier. Um, there are women, I'm sure, that fear that what if my equipment, I can't bring all my equipment with me, my adapted equipment. Is it going to be available for me when I get there? So, we need to make sure that there's equipment there extra wheelchairs, walkers, shower chairs, things like that, so they can still be able to live
Yes.
and feel safe.
Right. And the thing that struck me the most in doing some research for this podcast is the amount of disabled who are being abused. The number is
Yeah,
staggering.
yeah,
That that the numbers are higher than the general public.
yes,
Uh,
they are.
yeah. And so because of that, these facilities really do need to go the extra mile because the trauma that they are enduring and then to not have the accessibility to be able to afford to get out um, is a huge issue.
Yes.
Absolutely a huge issue. So, what I was seeing, and I mean, you can correct me if you know a different stat, it's like double within the disabled community as to what the general public.
Yeah.
So, if the general public is, 1 in 3 or 1 in 4,
Hmm.
and you're talking 1 to 2, 1 to 1.5 amongst the disabled community, correct?
Correct. It is correct. They're saying that 40% of disabled women are vulnerable to abuse. That's 40%. That's too high.
Yes.
That's way too high. Um, and especially for intimate violent partners, where that 40% that they're counting. Um, we've got to figure out something to be able to bring these women to a safe place,
Yes,
to bring
absolutely.
these numbers down.
Yeah, because those numbers are just way too staggering. That's just
Yeah,
too high.
that's
Um, yeah. So let me see here. Um, so for the listeners tonight who may be living with chronic pain or paralysis or disabilities, what message of hope would you share with them?
well, I live with chronic pain, of course. We haven't said that, but a majority of spinal cord injury people have chronic pain that they deal with. And it's something that we can't stop. It will hit you at the moment you're injured, or it hits you years later. In my case, it hit me years later. Um, and living with a disability and chronic pain, like I said earlier, you still have to get up and you still have to move. You have to keep going. Yeah, you're going to be in a lot of pain, but the more you move, the less in the pain comes along. Um, in my case, I've learned that if I keep moving around, the pain gets better, or I decide to work or read on something, take my mind off of it. Um, but living with both, you still have to try. You can't give up. And that's, that's the one thing that even my friend helped me with the book. She noticed, how do you do it?
Mhm.
I don't think about it. I don't think twice about it. But
Right.
you just do it. You've got a life to live, and whatever is there, you just keep going.
Oh, absolutely. So we had Ava Marie here just said, "Thank you for awareness. The layers can seem impossible, but it can be done. It's my story, and I am still walking the path forward." Well, wonderful. We're glad to see you again. Haven't seen you in a while, Ava. So And Stephanie did talk some more. Stephanie, oh wow, you're just incredible, Stephanie. So Stephanie says, let's see here. It's very long, so I won't come on the screen. Um, they said your voice matters, you matter, you're loved, but by who? Stephanie said, I am, and I am being intercepted on all communication, separated from my children intentionally while they're in danger and surrounded by my abuser. That is supported. I am being silenced and erased because I tell the truth. Yeah, that's very hard, Stephanie. And she says a whole lot more about her case and everything. Says many I know have been charged for animal cruelty, some on drugs, another was a crack dealer. I would brag about it. Heartless, abuse people, work with vulnerable people, mistreat and abuse them. Stephanie, it's really hard. Believe me, there are moments I felt just like you. Who did I matter to?
Yeah.
You know, and when you're in the middle of that kind of pain, it's hard to see who you do matter to, but there's someone there who and you matter to us. That's why we do this, so that we can try to help and bring some communication. I don't know if you've contacted anyone on our support line just to have someone to talk to, but no one should ever feel the way you feel, and it's understandable you feel the way you feel. That is for sure. And we hope you can find a listening ear somewhere, maybe even some therapy or someone that can be with you to help you navigate this as you're going through it. So, LaDonna, is there anything you'd like to include?
That that's just like Tara said, that's a hard one.
Mhm.
But she's right. See if you can get a hold of someone, get some therapy,
Get someone
find
to
get
Mhm,
someone that will listen, and and so you know that there's somebody out there that does care,
mhm.
and that you do matter. Um, that will help your mental health greatly. Um,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
yeah, that's a tough one.
Mhm.
But don't give up.
Yeah, don't give up. Don't give up. Um, and finally, LaDonna, as we're coming close to our hour almost being over here, your book, Triumph Over Tragedy, it captures the life you rebuilt on faith and perseverance. What does triumph look like to you now?
Triumph is accomplishing what I have done so far,
Mhm,
and that is, like I said, the the bachelor's degree,
mhm.
and then I founded a nonprofit organization called Phoebe's Safe Haven.
Yes,
And my goal, my plan is my hope that I can get these safe houses, ADA compliant safe houses. That's my triumph. I've gotten this far and I know I can accomplish this.
absolutely, absolutely. So tell us where we can find your book or contact you or your website, whatever you have.
My website is www.ladonnashelley.com. You can find a link there to get my book. It's also at Amazon Kindle or paperback. Just type in my name, or there's another Triumph Over Tragedy, but it's just better to type in my name and it'll pop up the correct book for you.
Absolutely wonderful. Well,
And
thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us.
thank you for letting me share this and getting the message out. So it, the book, the support on the book goes towards the organization. So,
Wonderful. Yes, so please check that out and help support LaDonna and her efforts. My closing thoughts are safety is more than distance from danger. It's the ability to enter buildings that protect you and use bathrooms without fear or charge your chair, call for help. Um, stay with your service animal. Safety is ramps and railings and trained humans who don't mistake accessibility for a favor. These numbers are not abstract. People with disabilities face higher rates of assault and stalking and intimate partner violence,
yes,
and yet they are less likely to be met with accessible trauma informed services. So that gap is where harm festers. That gap is where survivors can lose hope. So here's your charge. If you lead a shelter, build accessibility into your budget.
yes.
Like you do for beds in the rooms.
Mhm.
If you run a hotline, add ASL options and accessible formats. If you design a safety plan, include power outlets and transfer supports, transportation, um, caregiving realities, right? And if
Yeah,
you're an ally, believe what you hear and ask what access looks like for the person in front of you. So, LaDonna's story reminds us that survivors, being a survivor is never a burden.
yeah,
Um, access should be standard. Access is how we say your life matters here. So, um, before we close, I want to invite you to get involved with us at Break the Silence Against Domestic Violence. We're currently looking for meta volunteers to respond compassionately to the comments and DMs on Facebook and Instagram, to reply to help survivors feel less alone. Also, podcast moderators for our live streams like we have today for YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, help keep the chat safe, welcome and seen, and help people who are experiencing issues where they have problems feeling
Wait,
like life matters. um, and if you wondered how you can make a difference, this is your moment. There will be a link to apply as a volunteer. Please sign up. We'd love to have you on the team. Also, the Survivor to Survivor segment does drop every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, answering real questions from survivors like you. And don't miss our new series over on TikTok called the Narc Diaries. We have new episodes every Wednesday night and Sunday night. We're growing our channel over there for survivors, where I read submissions from everyday people like you as to what their narcissist said to them. And some of those things over there, my goodness, I'm telling you, I can't believe some of the horrific things that people can say or do. But we address them there, and we're just opening them up to the public and make it aware that that is not right. And this is what narcissism looks like. So follow us over there at BTSADV7 so you can help us go live. We're halfway there to the numbers to be able to go live. We'd like to get some more support. And until next time, stay informed, stay connected, and most of all, stay empowered. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope you're enjoying this episode of Through the Eyes of Survivors. We wanted to pause for a moment and let you know that Through the Eyes of Survivors has a shop now open. And this is a great way for you to not only help survivors of domestic violence, but also let everyone know that you will not be silent about this important cause. From t-shirts to bags to coffee mugs, we have so much to choose from. To grab your swag, head to our store at breakthesilencedv.org. That's store.breakthesilencedv.org. We can't say enough about how much we appreciate all that the community does to help support us and this organization. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode and continue to subscribe to future episodes.